I won't reveal exactly how much they paid, but it was well over $10,000. And to date, that's probably my most memorable sale because, it was one of those things that, paid my mortgage for a couple months.
Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of Success by Design with yours truly, Michael. And I have the amazing and phenomenally talented Colorado photographer, Lara from Lara Photography. If you haven't seen Sean's work, you have to stop and go right now. His ability to connect photojournalism with the environment and connect people in those spaces is absolutely amazing. Traveling all over the world, winning tons of awards, being a wedding photographer of the year multiple times. I'm like, dude, like, how do you find time to sleep? I absolutely love it. So, Sean, welcome. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, hey, thanks so much, Michael. It's great to be here. And wow, what a flattering intro. Yeah, absolutely phenomenal to hear, that there are fans of my work. I've been doing this for about 13 years now. Professionally, I've been a hobbyist my entire life. I kind of started, exploring this as a possible career when I was in college. I was the photo editor of my college newspaper, and then I did some stuff with the magazine as well. And then I took an internship with a real newspaper, and then from that, it kind of one thing led to another. I fell into the world of weddings, and as I mentioned, I've been doing this for over a decade, and I have absolutely no intentions of stopping. I love it.
Oh, that is absolutely amazing. And I love how like you started in the media world and
hmm
fell into the wedding world. Can you walk us through like that transition? Because it's always different coming from like a commercial space or a media space and getting
hmm
into like that people space where you're having to deal with the family dynamics and, all of the other drama that comes with the weddings.
Right. No, absolutely. I'll be completely straight up and honest with you. I really enjoyed doing photojournalism. It was really cool because I was photographing something new every day. One day I was photographing sports, the next day I'd be, covering like political rallies. It was just always different, which it was really exciting to me because it kind of kept that passion going. But I quickly realized that, there wasn't, it was kind of a dying industry, so to speak. Not that news isn't important, it's extremely important. It's the unofficial fourth branch of the government, so to speak. But there just wasn't any money in it. And I wanted to be able to do something that allowed me not only to continue my passion and be a creative outlet, but would also pay the bills. So I started, right around when I was about 20 years old. I kind of just started looking into just everything photo wise. I started assisting weddings for a friend of mine who was in the industry. He went to high school with him, and I fell in love with weddings. It allowed me to kind of continue that photojournalism, documentary style of photography coverage. And it also allowed me to get creative with my portraits and my lighting and my locations. And that's how I fell specifically into weddings.
I love it. And your passion for the environment, does that
Yes.
because I know you grew up in California and moved to
Yeah.
Colorado. So
hmm
where did that because you just have so many fascinating nuggets about this journey into where you are now. So let us in where did the environment come in?
Absolutely, it's a great question. So when I grew up in a very urban area, not like Los Angeles urban, but it was track homes, no sort of like open spaces. It was just very groomed and well developed, area. And any opportunity I got, my start when I was really young, starting with that, my dad and I would go like on camping trips, and we'd go on adventures with our local YMCA to to go white river rafting, go up into the mountains, go fishing, et cetera, et cetera. So all these things that really kind of led me to fall in love with just the environment and being outdoors and being in nature. And it was something I really, really craved. Every time when I wasn't at home playing video games as a kid, I was outdoors, building clubhouses and other things just to, get
Gotcha.
myself outside. And that's kind of where that fell from. I started when I got older and I was able to drive for myself. When I turned 16, I was making, almost like bi-weekly trips up to the mountains to go fishing. And once I started really getting into taking photos, I'd take photos of landscapes and all that. And that's, there was kind of like a light bulb that went off in my head. Well, why don't I take my passion for like taking landscape photos and somehow incorporate that into wedding photography and combine the two to really make a niche. And that's, I feel like, where I found a lot of my success is because I can relate to like-minded clients such as myself that really enjoy, spending time outdoors.
I love it. When you were sharing us about this journey, it reminded me that I always when I tell people about like how to get into the wedding industry, I
Yeah,
say like the best wedding photographers are skilled at commercial stuff, at still, at environment, at people. Like you have to have all of these talents and not just be able just to capture people close up.
of course.
Like being able to capture the whole scene, and that's a skill set within itself. And having that landscape background just sets you apart because we look at space completely different than,
Right.
say, portrait photographers or studio photographers,
Mhm.
And so I love that you incorporated that because I start out in landscape and I was like, I see it.
Oh, cool.
Like, seeing space and color and shape and just the dynamic range of the environment is absolutely amazing. And I love how you incorporate all of that into your artistry.
Well, thank you. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate it.
So I would love for you to share with us about like a most memorable or challenging shoot and how you overcame those obstacles.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, there hasn't been like one that particularly comes in mind. I mean, there's certainly, instances where you'll have, like a terrible mother of the groom or something. I'm thinking of an example right now where, the mom just didn't want to listen to any of the posing advice I was giving, and she was very adamant and that she was right, and I was wrong. So, stuff like that is always a challenge. But other than that, I would say maybe some of the biggest challenges that I've had to experience recently is doing some, international weddings where, we're still kind of in that whole COVID arena where, some countries have very strict restrictions compared to us. So you have to be able to navigate that and you have to prepare for that accordingly because if you can't get in the country while you're photographing a client's wedding or when you're supposed to be photographing a client's wedding, that's kind of a big deal. So I did one in Guatemala recently where not only was that an issue, but then there's obviously the language barrier, and my Spanish isn't amazing, even though I am Hispanic, believe it or not. So yeah, so that was a challenging, just to kind of navigate through those hoops, but such an amazing experience. I got some amazing photos. It was so much fun, and I really, really hope I get to go back somewhere, in South America, Central America, or Mexico because it was a blast.
Yeah. So, I think that language traveling is a blessing and a curse, right?
Right.
Because you have to deal with not only the language barrier, but the different environments and the cultural changes and the rules and restrictions to get in. And,
Exactly.
I was like, I travel a little bit, but I give it up to the people who travel a lot because like just all that preparation
Yes.
and not only you preparing, but you preparing your clients for what's about to happen. Because I'm assuming more often than not, your clients aren't from the places that you're traveling to.
This is true, actually. Yeah. I do some destination weddings where I'll travel to them and they do live there, but that's mainly within the country. I haven't done any weddings outside of the country where that they actually live there and they seek me out. But then on the opposite side of that too, a lot of my clients are traveling from out of state and out of the country in some instances. So I live in a very big destination area.
Awesome. So I would love for you to share with us like your amazing work and you work with tons of clients. I saw like over 500 weddings, right?
Yes.
How do you incorporate systems like Fundy into your workflow and into your client experience?
Yeah, absolutely. When you're dealing with 50 plus clients a year, I mean, technically it's more because I also do portrait sessions and business headshots and stuff like that. being organized is extremely important. So one way I just organize my life is through the use of Google, just Google Docs, which has really helped. But more importantly, is having a good CRM, content that stands for content. Or customer relationship management, excuse me. I use Studio Ninja. That's a great way to keep organized. But then there's other things that really help that are really important to incorporate that really help reduce the amount of time that I'm just spending doing everything else. And Fundy has been one of those for me. I've been using Fundy, honestly, I think I've been using Fundy probably since like 2016 or 2017. It's been a long time.
Gotcha.
And, before I was using Fundy, I was designing all my wedding albums in InDesign, and it was taking me hours to design a
I believe
single
it.
wedding album. And full disclosure, I hate wedding albums. I do not like doing them.
Wow.
I don't push them very much. I'm the kind of person, I'm the kind of photographer where I like to deliver the photos to the client and just be done. Nothing, not that I don't like them. That's just what I prefer to do. So when I first heard about Fundy, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever. And it's enabled me not only obviously to be able to create an album in like 30 minutes. That's about my average time it takes me. But it just makes the process of designing albums and that whole album process a little bit less crappy for me, which I
No.
appreciate.
Yeah. No, no. I absolutely believe it. And so, do you have a favorite feature in Fundy that you really enjoy?
Yeah, I like the ability to be able to do or the auto design feature because it kind of gives me a starting point. It gives me
Hmm.
some suggestions, and then from there I can, make changes as needed. Switch photos around, make some photos bigger or smaller, and that's probably the best feature of Fundy that I really enjoy.
Yeah. So you know what? When I'm at conferences,
Yeah.
I have Fundy pulled up on my laptop. So when people come over to like our album table, I show them like how easy it
Oh,
is,
okay.
and literally I'm like one click auto design, right?
Pretty awesome.
They're like, what? Like one click and
I mean,
all this
that
stuff
was
is in
me.
here?
That was me. Yeah, I want to say I met you guys actually at WPPI way back in the day. So, yeah, absolutely. I totally get it. I was one of those people.
Awesome. So I would love for you to share us about like either your biggest or most memorable sale and how Fundy had contributed to that sale.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned, I'm not huge on wedding albums. I don't like to necessarily push them very hard. However, I do offer them because there are those couples and those clients, especially, like parents who really value having a wedding album. And I'm not gonna lie, I do understand the appeal and because it's so awesome having a coffee book table, for example, in your living room that's beautifully designed, that's beautifully made that you can kind of show off to family and friends when they come over to your house. So I do really appreciate what albums do. And I would say probably one of the biggest sales or just one of the best clients for me, they did everything with me. They did the engagement session, they did the post wedding shoot, they did the wedding itself. They added on albums. They actually got a few albums, so I was able to design a couple albums for them as well. I won't reveal exactly how much they paid, but it was well over $10,000, and to date, that's probably my most memorable sale because it's one of those things that paid my mortgage for a couple months.
Look at you with that flex. He just came in here. I don't sell albums, but yet I have clients that follow me and get all these albums and all these prints. And I was like, okay, I see you over there.
Yeah, I mean, I have had a little bit of success in the industry, don't get me wrong, but I'm still small time compared to some of these really big business owners that just
Yeah.
have marketing and advertising just down. And I
Yeah.
definitely envy them for sure. But I like to
But
have a nice balance between the creative side and the business side of the
mhm.
business.
Yeah, but those are like I feel like those are my favorite clients. I'm assuming those are your favorite clients who like you're like Sean. We love you. We trust you. We want you to do everything for us,
Yeah.
and it just makes it so easy because you can offer them prints and albums, and they trust you, and it doesn't feel like selling because they already know that like you are taking care of them.
Oh, 100%. I mean, those are the best, and especially the ones that develop to friendships after. I did a couple's. I've been photographing one particular couple's journey. throughout like their whole romantic relationship, so to speak. So I did their engagement session in Antelope Canyon, which was in Arizona. Really, really fun. I'm sure you've seen some of those photos. The couple of that's silhouetted in the canyon. And then I did their wedding in North Carolina, and then I did their post-wedding photos in Washington State in some front of some waterfalls. And then I was supposed to do their maternity session last year in Oregon, but she actually wa was 2 months early, so we had to cancel
Gotcha.
that. But I'm going to be doing some family photos for them shortly,
That's perfect.
as a makeup or a do-over, so to speak. So yeah, it's really cool when you can kind of experience all these things with clients and really develop real friendships with these couples and just kind of document their life journey, so to speak. And I
Hmm.
actually have a lot of couples who I've done weddings, engagements for, and I still do their family photos every year. So it's a lot of fun.
Oh, that's amazing. So do you have any tips for the people who are listening to,
Hmm.
how to start with that one session, but follow them throughout their life's journey? Because I can imagine it meeting someone as strangers, right?
Yeah,
And then just
right.
photographing their wedding and turning that into a relationship is not easy.
I could give literally like a 2 hour presentation on that question alone, but I'll try to sum it up as best as I can. And I think the biggest thing is to try to just be relatable, right? And try to attract, like as I mentioned earlier, like-minded individuals. So for me, I have a ton of hobbies. Like it's actually kind of an absurd amount of hobbies. And it's actually been a really good thing because it allows me to connect with people on so many different things. And establishing those connections and being able to relate to your clients is going to naturally enable conversations to happen. And once you start enabling those conversations, you're going to start finding out, oh, we have a lot in common. And it's going to start building trust with it between you and the client. And it's those situations, even if you're not an amazing photographer, like having that trust between clients is going to have them wanting to come, or is going to enable them to want to come back to you for more and more and more.
I love it. That listen, that was an amazing summation of that.
Yeah,
No, that
absolutely.
was
Thank you.
absolutely awesome. And so, because that trust, like I said, we went back, allows you to be able to offer them more things and not come off as like a salesman. So that's absolutely phenomenal. And so we
Exactly.
talked about the fact that Fundy now has another app,
I'm so
that
stoked for this. Yes.
the social design app. And I know you've seen it and
Hmm.
might have played around with it. So the
Yeah.
social design, how do you see that impacting your business and saving you time and bringing you additional leads or more income?
Yeah, so actually, it's really funny because Fundy announced this around WPPI this year, and right before WPPI, I was telling my friends and colleagues, I was saying, you know what, like the biggest time suck for me, or another thing like albums, I don't want to do is just post on social media all the time. Like I don't want to be there posting reels and scheduling posts, and it's just one more thing as a business owner that just annoys me. I want to focus on the experience, my client experience, and I want to focus on actually taking photos, and that's it. So when Fundy announced the social design app, I was like, oh my gosh, was Andrew like, listening in my thoughts or something? Like, so
He's bugged your house.
yes, he's bugged my house exactly. And it was really cool because it's something I need help with. Is just making reels, making content easier to post, especially as photographers. We want to be able to sometimes post like a series of photos in one event or in one image, I should so to speak, like collages, and just being able to do, all this stuff that Fundy allows us to do is going to make my life a lot easier.
I love it. And I love the intentionality about, hey, I know what I don't like to do. And so I'm going to
Right.
find ways of helping myself and my business out and outsourcing or
Yeah.
finding apps or systems to allow me to function with people and build those relationships without sitting behind a computer for the entire day. I love it.
Right. Absolutely.
I love it. So I have a few more questions, and then we're going to jump into my
Please.
favorite segment, which is the rapid fire segment. So the next one is, who has been your greatest influence or mentor, and what valuable lessons have you taken away from them?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. I've had quite a few people that have influenced me over my career, and I've also had quite a few mentors. As far as people that have influenced me, pretty much those who use Flash as a creative tool. have really helped inspire me. So a lot of those people are actually Geekoto ambassadors. I don't know if you're familiar with Geekoto, but they're a Flash company. A lot of those photographers are extremely talented, as well as a lot of Magmon ambassadors too. Even before I was an ambassador for any of these companies. I was following their work pretty heavily, and it really helped kind of open up my creativity and helped me develop my style. So, pretty much any of those ambassadors have really been a big inspiration to me. As far as my mentors have concerned, I've had a couple. I had one at the newspaper I started working at back in the day. When I first started weddings, my wedding mentor was his name was Scott. He led the associate company that I worked for, and he basically taught me most of what I know about weddings as far as like just the day of stuff and how to interact with clients and all that. Um, and then there's been some other mentors just kind of throughout my journey. There's a guy here who's I call in Colorado. I call him one of the best wedding photographers you've never heard of because he's like so low key and he's such an amazing photographer, but he's so low key. Like he doesn't post like on any photography groups. He doesn't really have a social media presence. He doesn't educate or anything, but he's so good and he just knows what's up and knows how to run a business and be super creative. And I constantly talk to him. So those have probably been the main three for me. But,
Perfect.
I try to pull little bits of inspiration from wherever I can.
I love it. And so you shared with us so much information. I mean, just about, building relationships,
Yeah.
working smarter, not harder, transitioning into different genres. The final questions I would love for you to share, like what skills or qualities do you think are essential for people to get into this field, this wedding and portrait industry?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I think probably the biggest skill that you can have, even beyond like being a talented photographer, is the ability to communicate with clients and with people, right? Like if you're just socially awkward, you don't really know how to kind of let loose, you don't know how to talk to people, you don't know how to build relationships, you're kind of in the wrong business. You really have to be a people person to be successful in this industry. And I think that there's obviously exceptions, but I think that is super, super important.
Yeah, I love that because I can't count like the number of inquiries I get where they're like, we're awkward and we don't know how to, pose or talk or this
Right.
and we have to they pay us to bring that energy out in them. So
Exactly.
yeah, I love it. I mean, I think that's phenomenal advice, like being able to communicate and deal with people.
Yeah, and if you're like one of those people that isn't really social, I would encourage you to kind of, even though it might be awkward or uncomfortable for you, really put yourself in some social situations. Like go to your local like speakeasy or something and just try to start a conversation with someone random. Like and it's gonna be, especially if you're not used to it, it's gonna be very uncomfortable. But that's kind of what helped me, when I first started doing this 13 years ago, believe it or not, I actually wasn't the most social person and wasn't the easiest person to talk to. But I really wanted to be successful in this industry, so I kind of forced myself to start talking to people and start relating to people and finding those common interests in it. And it really helped me find success, not only in my business, but actually in my dating life too. It's
Okay.
what I've learned from the business world has allowed me to be a little bit more approachable to the ladies. So hey, fellas and ladies, if you're single, get on it. Start
I
learning how to
love
be more
it.
social.
I love it. I love it. All right. So this was everything you said. I think people need to go back and listen again and again and again and write down those gems
Yeah.
because you were just spitting fire, dude. Like,
Oh, I appreciate that. I
like
appreciate
a whole
that.
masterclass on relationship development, management, systems. I absolutely love it. So we're
Yeah.
entering my favorite section, which is the rapid fire section. So I'm actually a few questions. Some are
Okay.
personal, some are photography related, and just the first thing that comes to your mind. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Awesome. So, what is your favorite snack while you're at a session?
Oh, at a session? That's a very good question. I get them from Costco, just the protein bars, 10 grams of protein. They're like peanut butter and chocolate and oats. Pretty good. Get them at Costco.
Gotcha. Awesome. What makes you laugh the most?
Ooh, what makes me laugh the most? That's a fantastic question. Probably just doing dumb stuff with my friends and watching dumb comedies.
Awesome. What is your favorite lens?
My favorite lens, that's an easy one, is the Nikon 7200 2.8.
Okay. If you could win an Olympic gold medal, what would it be in?
Skee ball.
Skee ball. I
Is
have to
that
look that
is
up. I
that
don't
is
even know
that
what
an
that
Olympic
is.
sport? No, it's not an
I
Olympic sport.
don't-
It's one of those
It is
arcade. It's
now.
one of those arcade games. No, I'd have to say what's that what's the one where they slide the little bricks across the ice? Uh
Oh.
I'm drawing a blank right
Yeah, yeah,
now.
yeah. Curling?
Curling,
Kerning?
yes,
Yeah, yeah,
curling.
yeah.
Yes, curling. That's what I would want to win an Olympic gold medal in. Is curling.
Awesome. Favorite photographer other than yourself?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'd say probably one of the biggest. I'll just go with who was the biggest influence for me early in my career, and that's gonna be Joe McNally.
Awesome. Favorite show to binge right now?
Star Wars. Any Star Wars
Okay.
show. Any Star Wars show.
All right, two more. What mistake did you learn from the most?
Ooh, um, not being extremely clear with your clients and setting expectations clearly, I should say.
Perfect. And
Yeah.
what is the best advice you've ever received?
Um, best advice I've ever received. That's such a hard one, because like there hasn't been just one specific moment that was like, oh my gosh, this is so life changing. But it would probably be just a series of it would be a series of little tiny things, and I think probably if I had to sum it up, it's find something that you're passionate about because when you're passionate about it, you're gonna work much harder to find success with it.
I love it. I love it. So, Sean, I want to give you the last few minutes to just, pitch whatever you want to say. Like, tell people how they can learn from you, how they can work with you, where they can find you. The floor is yours, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you guys haven't seen my work, please visit my website at seanlara.com. You can also follow me on Instagram, which is at Sean Lara Photography. I do a lot of education as well. So I speak at WPPI, I host private workshops, I do monthly image critiques, and I do all of that actually in my Facebook group. It's an educational Facebook group. It's called the Portrait Photographer's Resource. I can share a link with anyone who's interested in seeing that. But that's pretty much where you can find me and learn to be a better photographer and business owner is through that Facebook group.
Perfect. Sean, you have been absolutely amazing to just chit chat with you and just get to know you a little better.
Yeah, thank
Because
you,
I
Michael.
know I know we met at WPPI this year and
Hmm.
I was like, this dude is cool. Like I would love to chat with him. And this is just amazing insight into your entire world and how it's shaped. And if you're listening, like I said, go back and listen again, pause, take notes because what Sean was talking about was just absolutely phenomenal. So Sean, thank you for being here on Success by Design. And listeners, I will catch you next time.
Thank you.